Hello and welcome to something new here on the Phantom Fighter channel. It is Era's Fantasy Football,
And thank you, Coach. We are across the
and we
Hudson
have the
from
announcers
Midtown
on.
Manhattan at
So
MetLife
let's get
Stadium
rid of
in
that for a
East
second.
Rutherford, New Jersey. This the scene just before we came
Well, we'll
on
do the
air. This
kickoff
New
and
York
then we
crowd
will
fired up by the
turn off the
arrival of their
announcers.
G-men as they burst from the
So it's going
locker
to be
room.
returned
They're
out
ready
across
to
the
go
20
as the
up
Giants
through
get set to
the
match up.
25, and
And they'll
let's
get
meet
it
the
up to about
quarterback
the
real quick. Nope.
26-yard line, just
Okay,
across the
I can't
25.
seem to
With the Dallas Cowboys.
stop it. Okay, so first play of the game, handoff to, that's O.J. Simpson. Okay, now let's go ahead and turn these guys off here, and we'll explain a little bit of what is going on. All right, let's go field. There we go. All right, so it's your screen shows the Dallas Cowboys at New York Giants. That's the representative of either favorite teams or just teams chosen to represent certain teams. But what we really have here is the Dallas Cowboys are representing the North Dallas Bulls, and the New York Giants are representing the Fury Warriors. So what this is, this entire league, it is a fantasy football drafted team based on different eras, but not just anyone that's ever played football. These are specific years. So try to, stay with me because you might have to rewind and listen to it again. But the teams were drafted from years separated by a quarter of a century. So 1922, yes, football was around in 22. We have 1922 representation, 1947, 1972, 1997, and 2022. So we have a bunch of players from all over the place. Can't look at the depth charts because we're not controlling the team. But that is what the story is. And so to make it, why not just, hey, 1997 was my favorite year of football. I'm just going to pick everyone from that year. Well, no, the rules were you had to have even representation. I say even, but let's think about it in terms of fantasy football. So you had to have three players or player slots from each of the quarter century teams. So that means each team has three players from 2022 and each of the other years, 97, etc. But of course, in fantasy football, your defense, the entire defense is just one slot. So of course, defenses that were chosen will be overrepresented here in Madden, because if you pick the 1972 Miami Dolphins defense, then of course you have, well, for this you have 11 players. Because there was two slots. So we'll get into it a little bit more as the game goes, show you some game in the background, and I'll announce when when it calls to do so. But that is the quick introduction. These specific teams we'll get to know. We'll see. I don't know if this has to be play now, of course, because if I put these, try to put this into a franchise, then all kinds of craziness is going to happen with changing rosters and everything. But we'll go through some of the players on teams you already met. O.J. Simpson, he's carried the ball twice. So there's three slots. So there's three quarterbacks, three running backs, three receivers, two tight ends, two kickers, be represented by one kicker and one punter, and then two defenses. So again, that is for 15 slots, three from each era. Here's Steve Young. He's going to throw his first pass, and it is complete. Out on the side. Who did he find out there? Looks like it's Pete Pios from the 1922 era. So there you go. Told you representation. Sorry, 1947. 1947. He's not that old, guys. Steve Young again on the money. There's a guy from recent, as you saw, that's Davante Adams on the receiving end of that. So here in Era's football, you're going to see stuff like Davante Adams catching balls from Steve Young. So let's go through the team. Whoa, there's a little bit of flip at the end. So the Giants, again, are the Fury Warriors. And that was drafted by the owner of the Fury Warriors. His draft went like this. I'll give you the order that they were taken at the different positions. So in this game, you see his top quarterback taken was Steve Young. So that's 1997's Steve Young. The backup or the number 2 quarterback on the team is 2022's Justin Herbert. And then you go all the way back 100 years to 1922, and Patty Driscoll is the 3rd quarterback for this team. Running back led by O.J. Simpson. Steve Locke is the 2nd back chosen, and Wookie Roberts is the 3rd. So that, again, O.J. Simpson, old school here. O.J. Simpson, actually the newest or the youngest of the people. Look at that. Size difference. There are some size difference when you go back. That was Wookie Roberts taking the carry there, and you saw his size difference compared to some of the defenders. But anyways, it's O.J. Simpson from 72. Locke is from 47, and Wookie Roberts is from 1922. Young's looking for a touchdown pass here, and he's found him in the back of the end zone, and that's his big tight end, Travis Kelce. Of course, Kelce from the 2022 Kansas City Chiefs. Steve Young finds him in the back of the end zone, and just like that, the Fury Warriors march down the field and get a touchdown. Was his feet in? I think Kelce, the crafty veteran that he is able to keep his feet in. He does. And now the kicker for the Fury Warriors will come in. It's 1997 Cowboys kicker, which is ironic, Richie Cunningham. And what is Madden doing? Okay, so a little bit of a blackout there. But the kick is up, and it is good. So Cunningham puts it home, and the Fury Warriors march down the field and get the touchdown. Okay, so they scored too fast, but their receivers are Cliff Branch from 72, Devontae Adams, you saw, and Pete Pijos from 47. The tight ends, Travis Kelce had the touchdown catch, and Jim Benton is the other tight end from, again, 1947. The kickers, Richie Cunningham, the punter, and / backup kicker is Benny Boynton. And then the defense will be represented by the 1972 Miami Dolphins and the 1997 San Francisco 49ers. And now the Fury Warriors will kick off to the North Dallas Bulls, and we can meet their team. By the way, the Bulls, who played defense first, their defense was manned by a combination of the 1972 Washington Redskins and the 1922 Milwaukee Badgers. That's right, the Milwaukee Badgers are represented in this league. Where else would you see the Milwaukee Badgers? Only in Era's fantasy football. All right, so who's the starting quarterback, the number 1 quarterback for the North Dallas Bulls? It is Jeff George. Jeff George from 1997. Now, it's another thing to keep in mind. These guys are rated specifically. There's a huge run right off the bat by Mercury Morris from the 72 Dolphins. Comes up with a huge run. Gets a nice first down. But I was going to say, these are not all-time. Steve Young is, of course, a Hall of Famer. Jeff George is not. But they were both drafted for their years in 1997. And so if you look up 1997, you'll see Jeff George and Steve Young are much closer to each other than you might think if you just hear those two names. The backup quarterback for the North Dallas Bulls, second chosen, is Otto Graham, the great Otto Graham from 1947's Cleveland Browns. And the third is a return to 1997, and Dan Marino. Now, Dan Marino, of course, an all-time great. You'd be like, how is he third? Well, first of all, Otto Graham's an all-time great. So you might, with the 3 quarterbacks being Otto Graham, Dan Marino, and Jeff George, if this was a career rating system, clearly Jeff George would never see the field. But it is not. It's 1997 Jeff George versus 1997 Dan Marino. And rated solely based on fantasy, so it's completely stat-driven. And touchdowns are king, of course, in fantasy football. So get that out of the way right now. This is not me thinking that Jeff George is a better NFL quarterback than either Otto Graham or Dan Marino, because I'm pretty sure not on his wildest dreams can he be in the same mention as those two, except for maybe arm strength. In fact, arm strength he may be. I mean, Dan Marino still had a really strong arm too, but I guess you could say that confidently that Jeff George would surpass Otto Graham in arm strength, but that is literally the only attribute that he would be better than him on in normal. There's Jeff George showing that strong arm, getting it to, who was that in the middle? Big number 80. Is that Mel Koutner? Perhaps. I believe it was. All right, so rest of the team real quick. Mercury Morris is the running back from the Dolphins. And then a different year, but still the Dolphins, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the 97 Dolphins. And playing with his teammate Dan Marino. There's a big sack. Dana Stubblefield of the 49ers from 97 gets the sack. And Chet Mutrin is the other running back for the North Dallas Bulls. A complete domination by 2000